Welcome to LDR 660 Strategic Planning. I'm John R. Wallace, a graduate of Siena Heights for both my undergrad and graduate degrees. This video is going to be an overview of the next 10 weeks to introduce you to what's been set up in eCollege and what we hope to accomplish. One of the first things you need to do is introduce yourself to your classmates in the Cyber Cafe. We'll talk about the design of this course, look at various sections of eCollege, the syllabus, and talk about the two groups because most of your work will be doing analysis for a to-be-determined organization as a group project. You may have seen this graphic floated around the internet before, but it is highly accurate. Strategic planning can be a very messy process filled with what we hope is constructive conflict, but in part should prepare us for a multitude of options and opportunities in a complicated global environment. Some of the strategic planning courses use a text called strategic management. Strategic planning and strategic management are not the same thing. It's a little expensive. It doesn't really help you have practical application that this book does from Dr. John Bryson at the University of Minnesota. Plus, it's not expensive and provides a great many practical tools that you'll be able to use in the future as well. Our class objectives. Strategic thinking is thinking in context about how to pursue purposes or achieve goals. This also includes thinking about what the context is and how it might or should be changed, what the purposes are or what they should be, and what capabilities or competencies will or might be needed to fulfill our goals, and how they might be used to achieve the purposes. Strategic acting is acting in context in light of future consequences to achieve purposes and or to facilitate learning. And strategic learning is any change in a system, which could be an individual as well, that by adapting is better suited to its environment and produces more or less a permanent change in the capacity to pursue the purposes we're in line with. As I mentioned before, my name's John R. Wallace. I'm the current president of Marketing Partners, an organizational development firm with core competencies in market research, strategic planning, process improvement, product development, and communications. Make sure that you not only post in the Cyber Cafe, but that you get an understanding of who your classmates are as well. In doc sharing, there are 4 basic sections at this point. The first folder for the entire class has a wide variety of articles that will benefit you in a variety of aspects of building your own personal toolbox, but aren't necessarily required reading. The syllabus is also there. In particular, there are some published articles by Dr. Bryson, but also by Daniel Pink and Dr. Howard Gardner, 2 of the most important writers of the past 10 years, as well as a couple of pieces about presentation zen and brain rules. No matter what you're working on or who you work for, you always have to keep the audience in mind. And you'll find these important concepts to understand. Again, though, they're not necessarily required. I would highly suggest you read them nonetheless. The second folder in doc sharing is called Professor's Presentations. All of the PowerPoints I used to create the videos, as well as the PDF versions with my notes, are included there. Some of you, in your particular learning style, may prefer to see the individual visual or read the presentation as opposed to just watching the videos in eCollege. As part of your assignments for week 2, there's a discussion thread called Applicable Readings. Here are a series of articles that relate to group dynamics and or organizational design because strategic planning is an interactive, multidisciplinary process. But rather than ask you to read all the articles, you pick one, no duplication please, and then give us a couple of paragraph summary about what was important in that article in the discussion thread. That way we can all gain some insight from what our classmates have posted, and if you want to delve further into a specific article you didn't read originally, it's available for you to do so. The final folder in doc sharing is called Bryson and Class Tools, which contains PDF versions of worksheets to help you determine the competencies and gaps of your group, who the stakeholders are for the organization you're going to do a group project in, and it's stakeholders, not stockholders. In fact, within the Group A and B work sections of eCollege are places where you're going to put working documents related to every one of these categories and documents that you'll find here in doc sharing. This course is designed different than many of your other courses, in part because Bryson is not a difficult read, that we will spend 4 weeks getting through the Bryson book with some additional readings and some case study analysis, during which time each group will also have found an organization to work with. You're already working or volunteering with somebody that you can help. Then we're going to spend 4 weeks doing environmental scans, gathering data, whatever we need that's necessary to think and act strategically on behalf of the organization. And finally, we'll take the last 2 weeks to finalize and present our findings. The syllabus is available both in the course home section of eCollege as well as in the doc sharing for download. Beyond the standard requirements you see in every class with Siena Heights, there are 4 ways you'll be graded for a total of 1,000 points. The first is that there are 20 points available in each of the 10 weeks for your online postings. In general, you're required to post comments on at least 2 of your classmates' discussions, but 2 is a minimum, so don't expect maximum points for minimum posting. Secondly, everyone will write a paper about the group project. Now, a large bulk of that will be the addendums of the work you and the group have done, then that'll be identical for all of you. But individually, you'll need to write, in the standard APA format at the graduate level, a discussion about the process, the group dynamics of strategic planning and decision-making, and how you'll be able to apply these things in the future. And then finally, in week 10, you need to write a 2 to 3 page essay, no reference page necessary, about how this course met the graduate college requirements of communication, ethics, lifelong learning, technology, spirituality, work habits, attitudes, and values. You can pick 3 of those. You don't have to write on all of them. You'll also notice in eCollege along the left column that there are 4 weeks, then Group A work and Group B work, and then the last 2 weeks. That's not to suggest that the group work doesn't begin until week 5, because actually you start doing group work right from day 1. The very first week of each group needs to spend some time brainstorming about potential organizations that you have relationships with that would be open to your working with them. And then, of course, we have a final group project agreement, group competencies, group project work plan, data for discussion, the existing strategic plan, if there is one, mission, vision, and values, stakeholder identification, power grids, operations versus strategy, and the project rough drafts as you pull things together. Let's be very clear here. It is highly unlikely that your group will create a complete 5 or 10-year strategic plan for someone, even necessarily a 2-year plan for someone. That's a function of the board of directors or of a specially appointed committee, depending on the organization. But you will be going through a series of steps as outlined by this Bryson graphic, gathering data and discussing strategy, upon which a board then might make a decision to act. There have been instances with this class that the board asked us to lead them on a 1-day strategic planning retreat. More often than not, the group projects have worked underneath existing strategic plans in one particular area or department, then helped set goals, strategies, measurable objectives, and action steps the organization can take to fulfill the mission, vision, and values. So let's get busy, develop our KSAs that you can put in your toolbox and make a positive difference no matter what career field or employer you work for. As anyone who's had me in class before would tell you, I don't mind being contacted by phone or email and respond very quickly, usually in a matter of hours and never more than a full day. After all, leadership is about helping others to achieve their goals, and you should consider me your mentor in this class. Let's begin to learn, think, and act strategically. I'll see you online.